This is Believing Buckeyes. I'm Brian Browning with All-American cornerback Chinny Chekwa. We feeling good. We had one round of the playoffs. We took care of business. Our Ohio State Buckeyes against the Tennessee Volunteers, 42-17. Chum, man, how you feeling, man? Did you enjoy week one of the college football playoffs, man? Like, what's going on? How you
Yeah,
doing?
week one was. I thought week one was it was solid. I enjoyed the Ohio State versus Tennessee blowout, obviously because I wanted Ohio State to win, and I wanted them to win in the fashion that they did. And I was impressed. And there's always the thought, and I have to at times check my bias and see if I believe that the game could go this way, because I'm a Buckeye fan, I want it to go this way, or is it real? And I thought going in that Tennessee was a solid football team that was going to have to lean on their defense because their defense had been strong all year. And if they were going to win the game or at least keep it close and make it competitive, they would have to take a similar approach to what Michigan did. Try to limit, the touches from Jeremiah Smith, maybe have some bracket coverage, and force Ohio State to either have to throw in the coverage or kind of bite the cheese of running the ball right into the strength of Tennessee's defense. Because look, we're playing coverage. We're going to cover some of these talented guys on the edges, and Michigan had a good defensive game plan. Now there's a lot of other reasons why we feel like Ohio State should have been able to beat them and should have beat them.
Yeah,
but I was surprised. I think the one thing I was surprised by from Tennessee is that they didn't just take the same approach that the team that last beat Ohio State took, given that their strength was awfully similar to what Michigan had. Now, they play a different type of defense. They like to play that single high safety defense. They like to, lean on their guys in some of these one-on-one matchups. But honestly, that's playing into Ohio State's hand, and I'm happy that Ryan Day was Ryan Day. Chip Kelly's offense looked like a Ryan Day offense, and they took it to him early, utilizing talent on the edges, and we saw the result.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, Tennessee, be frank, Tennessee was really, I don't know, I guess cocky and confident and coming into that game. And obviously that showed in many ways, right? Their fans buying tickets, right? They was pretty cocky that they come up to Columbus and had themselves a good night, driving up to Ohio. The players was cocky and confident. They coming out. They had to understand the spectacle that they're going to cause by everybody coming out with their shirts off while they're doing their warm-ups, trying to show that, they're not afraid of the code and all that thing of that nature. And also, I guess the coaches was confident and like, look, we're not, we're going to do what we do. Like, we're Tennessee, we're having a good season. We're SEC. We're going to go up here and show these Big Ten boys how we play ball in the South. And obviously none of that worked out in their favor. They should have made more adjustments. They should have tried to do a little bit something different when it comes to covering our guys. And due to that, right, we kind of got to them early, and that led to basically opening up everything from there.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is why the idea of a conference being the better conference and these teams, because they play in a better conference, are the better team. This is why this is dangerous, because when Ohio State matches up against Penn State, Nebraska, or Michigan, et cetera, teams that they play every year, you kind of got a feel for what to do. Like, Michigan goes into the game very confident because they know the pathway to win the game. It doesn't matter if the talent gap in certain areas is what it is. They have a path to win, and they know exactly this is what we have to do to win. So it's going to depend, and we may or may not win, but we know exactly what we need to do to win. Tennessee had not seen a team like Ohio State all year in their tough conference. They just have not seen the talent at the receiver position. And had they, honestly, had they seen it, or had they seen had they played against this level of caliber team, they may have had some different adjustments and had a different approach. I'm sure if they got the chance to play again, they take a little bit different approach, and not just from the confidence standpoint, but actually game plan in the way they played this game. They were not ready to play Ohio State.
No, that's for sure. I mean, obviously, I think they played Georgia, they played Alabama, and obviously Alabama wasn't the strongest when it came to like wide receiver play. Georgia has. I mean, no one is Ohio State when it comes to that kind of stuff, right?
No.
And like you said, it's their first time seeing it, and so frankly, they didn't do well. I want to talk about our defense, man. Our defense. I mean, we could really argue that since the Oregon game, like our defense has been pretty much lights out. I think they stated, I've been reading a stat that since the Oregon game, we have not given up a pass and touchdown, and so that's like the middle of October, right? Would like the defense? Obviously, they play fantastic. They play great. But I mean, what do you say about them coming out there, really setting the tone, taking it to a team that likes to run the ball, playing great against the run, and then also winning one-on-one matches to affect the quarterback and Nico and really, I mean, I think they say he broke his helmet maybe twice Saturday night. Just kind of just playing physical, running around and hitting hard, man. What did you have to say about that defense and all the things that they brought to the table? And making sure that we don't need much out of offense tonight because we're going to really take care of the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, I think the defense, Ohio State defense, mirrors the offense in that they have a diverse level of talent and a bunch of guys that can do a lot of things. And I think early on, pre-Oregon game, they didn't utilize it to its full effect because they didn't allow the different guys to attack. And ever since they switched that up, it's just been lights out, like you mentioned. Like Ohio State has been the best defense in college football, and it's their ability to create one-on-ones and put the offense in position to force them. One, we don't know exactly where the blitz is coming from. We don't know exactly what they're doing. So when the ball snapped, now I got to set with a little bit of indecisiveness. I got to set and be able to block a guy in space. That is the defense that I guess we all anticipated was going to be coming into the season. But since that Oregon game, they've been able to do that. And then you allow the talent to take over. Mm-hmm. You see what a Jack Sawyer can do versus, I mean, I feel like Jack Sawyer gets two hands on the ball every game at this point. It's like he's going to pick off a pass from rushing every game. And, you could just tell the team now is playing so much more free, especially on the defensive side of the ball, so much more free, so much more confident. And guys like Sonny Styles continues to grow in that role. I mean, this is his first year playing linebacker. Mm-hmm. And, after he's no longer new to the position now after playing a full season. And you can tell. And, this defense makes this team a championship level team. Mm-hmm. And if the offense gets to 80% of its potential in a game, it's going to be really, really hard to beat this team.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like they say, I mean, what's the old saying? Defense wins championships, right? And so, like, we expect our defense to, like I say, play well. And I think the one thing that I like to say, especially that we got to see Saturday, is that our defense is having fun, man. Like, they are having fun. They're flying around. They're making plays all across the board, being led by that linebacker, Cody Simon. And from there, everyone makes plays. I mean, you see Langston Ransom knocking guys around. We know what we get out of Caleb Downs. And then, our cornerbacks are stepping up and playing well. And I think overall it's just really been a group effort. It's been really fun to watch because obviously Ohio State fans, we could pick on certain things. But over the past several years, even the defense plays well. So I was like, they did good, but they're not well enough, right? But to kind of see them have a performance like that in such a big game, we expect to see that carry on as we, go on in these college footballs. But I want to shout out the offensive line, man. I want to shout out the offensive line, specifically Luke Montgomery, man. So before the game, Coach Day, talking to the press, said, yeah, we're going to rotate the guys inside. We're going to play a third guard and Luke Montgomery. So far, we've been seeing a lot of Austin Sherfield. We've been seeing Tegra inside, but basically throughout the whole season. Obviously, ever since we moved Donovan Jackson out to left tackle, really been Sherfield's spot to kind of sit in there. And as Hensman took over the center position ever since Seth went down. But Luke Montgomery went out there, and obviously the biggest game of his career, no question, the biggest game of his career. Obviously, he had played this season, but not so much like with the starting unit. And man, he played fantastic. I was watching the post game. I did the post game show this week, and you just watched Coach Day and said I guess the quickest, easiest thing to say. We gotta go in and watch the film. Obviously, I'm not locked in on the offensive guards and their play by play, but that was unnoticeable. The offensive guards were very unnoticeable in this game. A game where we could say that Tennessee's best unit on the football team was definitely their defensive line. Yep. And the guys that they brought to the table, being led by their rush in and Pierce and some of the big guys aside that also would be NFL players, stepped in and they just played well. And the game, like it's the playoffs, it was cold. You have to be able to win in the trenches, no matter what's the play that's being called, pass play, run play, whatever. And I just feel like overall as a unit, we definitely went out, executed well. And like I said, I didn't watch the film either to study play by play, but we just had the feeling that we didn't give up big plays, and we won much more than we lost Saturday night against a unit that was pretty good in the Tennessee Volunteers.
Yeah, and so this is, and we talked after that the last loss. We talked about kind of the future for Ryan Day and how we feel about him, and I've been hesitant to share my true feelings, right? Because I needed someone to back me up. I needed Ryan Day to back me up. And my true feelings are, he's the coach for the future. That's how I truly feel. That's my gut, right? And I give him grace in that I can see the changes being made, right? Like I guess for the most part, I complain about it happening too slow, but I could see the lessons being learned. And I guess I never anticipated a loss to Michigan this year. So that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But, dealing with the shuffle on the offensive line, you lose the best center in the country, right? You lose literally the best center in the country. You lose one of the best left tackles in the country. You have to shift the guy out. There's some struggles there with that transition. Then you bring another guy who's been developing this whole time into a playoff game and say, look, we're about to rotate, because that's what we have to do. Like, we have to do it for two reasons. We need to make sure that if somebody's struggling, we have another guy to put in there. And we need to make sure if somebody gets hurt, that we got another guy to put in there, right?
Right.
So you start to see Ryan Day, who was an offensive coordinator who transitioned to a head coaching position, during the time when college football is transitioning at a rapid rate. So now he's dealing with a lot of different things. Start to figure out how to be that CEO, that head coach, but also not lose who he is. And I thought there's certain games where, I feel like he hasn't stayed true to who Ryan Day is. And I think this Tennessee game, where what made the most sense is a Ryan Day type offense with everything else that's already in place, and making sure that we have guys up front. And that's what we saw out there. And this to me is Ryan Day and Ohio State at their best. And I anticipate that we continue to go from here. I want all fans to understand that transition from offensive coordinator to head coach. You look at a guy like Lincoln Riley or USC, still hasn't figured it out. Still hasn't figured it out. And, with the way college football is today, there's a lot of things that are rapidly changing. You start thinking about blowing things up and making a shift, you got to start understanding that somebody else might need to go through some of the same learning curve. Some of these guys who already you really believe in. There's one thing about being a coach in college football at another school. It's a different learning curve when you talk about being a coach in college football at Ohio State. And I don't think everybody realizes the challenges and the requirements to be successful in that position over year.
Yeah, right. And while we on the subject and we're talking about Coach Day, obviously towards the end of the game, the commentator was a lot to be said about the commentating, right? Obviously, we had Kirk Ferentz commentating. I'm sorry, I forget who his partner is, but obvioususly, most of Buckeye Nation, Chris Fowler, they lock in with Kirk. Obviously, he was a former quarterback at Ohio State, so a lot of times we would want to see him kind of support the team a little bit more, and sometimes he could be a little bit critical. And sometimes, to be frank, he's a little bit critical, and at the same time, sometimes he's just like, he's just not with us, right? In general. And then obviously, he's known for the College Game Day. And you look at his counterpart in Desmond Howard, right? He takes criticism because he's always with his guys, no matter what situation. Like, I think the team up north can do X, Y, Z. And Kirk is, he doesn't play that role for when he's out there. But towards the end of the game, he had made a little statement about, I think he called like the lunatic friends of Ohio State and how they need to, essentially, I guess he more insinuated they need to relax a little bit when it comes to talking about the firing of Coach Day and how's the numbers growing. What did you think about that? Because it's funny, he said that, but then he also said several things throughout the course of the game that wasn't, talking about the number of fans that was there from Tennessee, and
I just thought.
What's your thoughts on, I guess, Kirk in general and his?
I just thought the narratives that were being pushed were unnecessary. Like, because when you do a broadcast, and I don't have experience doing it myself, but when you do a broadcast like that, they usually have storylines. They usually always have certain storylines. And it seemed like the storyline for this game was the Tennessee fan takeover. Like, that was the storyline. So, depending on who reports how many fans was there, you could tell what storyline they're trying to push. I had about 15 to 20,000 Tennessee fans. Oh, there's about 45,000. It's like, you clearly want people to know that there's a ton of Tennessee fans. Like, that was a storyline that they wanted to push. Okay, that's fine, right? That's cool for the SEC and Tennessee coming and taking over. I thought they went a little overboard there, but that's fine. Talking about the lunatic fringe fans and how they have so much influence within Ohio State, et cetera. During the broadcast of a game that Ohio State is dominating, right? Ohio State is dominating. To me, that was a little borderline unprofessional. It's like, as fans who are watching the game and kind of celebrating the moment, the first college football playoff with 12 teams, home playoff game at Ohio State. Initially, it was all about the Tennessee fans taking over. And then when the players overcome the challenge, right, of all the things that you laid out, the closing is, the lunatic base of Ohio State fans. Like, even if, say that is 100% true, say it's 40% of Buckeye fans are lunatics, right? Focus on the 60, right? Because this is a game that Ohio State is winning. That being the narrative, I thought all the storylines through College Game Day, during the playoffs, and even when it finished, the focus was on getting the right teams in, and a team that has 11 wins like Indiana isn't necessarily the team that belongs. When the team that actually got blown out was the Tennessee team, which no one on College Game Day would openly say didn't belong in the play. And I don't think they didn't belong. I thought they proven throughout the season that they belong. They just went against a team that played at their best in an environment where it was going to be hard for Tennessee to really keep up with them. And this isn't the first time this is not the first time in the playoffs we had a blowout. So they happened. But I thought the narratives were questionable and really borderline unprofessional when he started talking about the fans. And I think that's something he's going to have to work out. He got to work that out between.
No, I mean, he got worked out at ESPN, man. I mean, he started taking shots at other shows on the network. And so they like, firing back, like, bro, like, what you talking about? Like, don't try to single us out. You do it yourself against Ohio State. So and being hypercritical over certain situations. So I don't know.
The narrative being pushed that, we just look at the teams and we take their best game, and that determines who gets into the playoffs, regardless of all the games that they don't show up and don't win. It's ludicrous. That doesn't even make any sense, honestly.
It's not fun. Like, what's the point of a season? It's not just pick 12 teams based on, who they have on the roster, and then that would be the playoffs, and then the season, you play your freshmen for experience. I don't know. It wouldn't make sense. Like, you got to play. You have to win. You have to earn it on the field. And if you earn it on the field, then, you get an opportunity to be a national champion. And I don't think that's crazy.
This is what was beautiful about the narratives, though, because after the Indiana game, all of the ESPN folks made their statement. They all made their statement. This is why we got to get the right teams in. This is why you can't just look at the wins. This is why. And then SMU lost. I told y'all this is why. This is the reason why. And then Tennessee goes out there and has the worst loss of all of them. I don't care what nobody says. Tennessee had the worst loss. If it wasn't for 2 bad calls from the referees, right? I would have went back Christmas shopping again. Right? So it's time for all of the media folks who declared Indiana not being one of the teams that should make it to look at them. It's mirror time. Matter of fact, I got my daughter's mirror right here. You see this?
Oh, look at that! Look at that! That's beautiful, man.
You see that?
Unicorn? I can see that.
It's a unicorn mirror, man. It's mirror time for all of the media folks, and we got to start holding them accountable. They got to start holding themselves accountable. And I'm gonna start with me actually. I'm gonna apologize to Penn State, right? Because for a year plus, I've been talking about how Penn State is not a Tier 1 Big Ten team. And how, I haven't said that they should fire the coach and none of those things, but I have said, they are not Tier 1. And I still kind of believe that. However,
we might need to expand Tier 1. That's all.
Well, we might need to make it.
It
might be like Tier 1A, Tier 1B type situation because Penn State has put themselves in a position to make a college football playoff run. They likely can't beat Ohio State. Maybe they can't beat Oregon. But maybe they never play them
that's right.
on the road to national championship. So I'm gonna hold myself accountable to that narrative. And now it's time for the Paul Feinbaums and the rest of Nick Saban, Pat McAfee just by association at this point.
Lane Kiffin, because he's really loud about it. Yeah,
I want them to talk specifically, not about Indiana or SMU or any of the team outside the conference. You talk specifically about who in the SEC belonged and who didn't. Does Tennessee belong in the playoffs? And if they didn't, who belonged in the playoffs over Tennessee? Speak about your own. Get your own house in order first before you start talking about the other conferences. I want to hear their take on that. And I want them to hold themselves accountable to making the mistake of pointing to the other team over there when they got a mess in their own house.
Yeah, that's true, man. Yeah, but real obviously we go on. We get to play Oregon. We've been waiting for this rematch since October, since the last time we gave us several passing touchdowns in the game. It's finally here. It's coming on Saturday at the Rose Bowl, New Year's Day. It'll be officially 2025, and hopefully our Buckeyes will come out there.
Yeah. No onside kick surprises, none of that.
Yeah, man.
None of that extra stuff,
if they put 12 guys on the field, throw it to the end zone, score a touchdown,
exactly.
All that kind of stuff, man. No, none of that nonsense.
No gimmicks.
No gimmicks, right? No gimmicks. They're gonna throw that sink at you. Be ready. That's all they practicing is gimmick stuff. We'll be ready. Transfer portal stuff. Eric Nolan picks a school, our guy, transfer out of the year, South Carolina. It looks like we got the number 1 transfer tight end at the portal. Can't call his name right now, from Purdue. Got a DN as well. Maybe
got a running back too.
Got a running back from West Virginia, I believe. Yeah. So somehow the coaches still make. That's another miraculous thing. They still make time. They get ready for the playoffs. They still make time to get these guys in from the portal. I don't know. You
got to, man. You got a team that's not in the playoffs.
You ever wonder why coaches get paid when they get paid? Because there's no time to sleep. No time to sleep, man. But that's our show for today. We'll try to catch up this weekend. We'll probably do a little bit of something. Also, we playing the Ducks. We will do something. So stay tuned to us, to our podcast here. Catch us on YouTube. Follow us if we're on live. Put down a comment. We speak to your comment. If you have a question, we get right to it. That's our show for the week. We appreciate you guys as always. We're going to end our show like we do with a nice OH.
Ayo.